Some big numbers coming out of the housing market today, and they're not looking pretty if you're looking to buy or rent. It's all getting even more expensive.
미국의 집값은 팬데믹 기간 동안 기록적인 속도로 상승했습니다. 2021년 6월 중위주택 가격은 2020년보다 23.4%가 증가한 36만 3천 달러, 우리 돈으로 약 4억 4천만 원에 도달했습니다. 판매자가 원했던 가격 이상으로 높은 가격에 거래되는 경우가 많았고 종종 전액 현금으로 거래되면서 주택시장은 열기를 더해갔습니다.
At the beginning of the pandemic, the Fed cut interest rates to zero and that dropped mortgage rates to historical lows. And as soon as people figured out how to buy a home in a safe manner with like social distancing, people came right back to the housing market.
So you can see in just basically the last 15 months or so, we've seen a dramatic acceleration in home price growth to levels we haven't seen in decades.
How hot is it? It's turning cold. Existing home sales falling in March, but at least in part because there just aren't enough homes to buy.
2021년 6월의 주택시장은 고점 대비 상당히 하향 안정되었지만 많은 주택 소유자들 사이에서 거품에 대한 두려움이 확산되고 있습니다.
I think it was sticker shock. I think a lot of people got in there and said, I just can't afford this. And that's why home sales came down.
Almost every conversation that I've had over the past decade is, well, one, there's this fear that we might find ourselves in another crash, and buyers don't want to be the ones holding the bag in the middle of that transition of a shifting market.
If a housing bubble were to happen, it would mean that a very large portion of Americans' wealth are tied up in risky assets, and they could lose a lot of their wealth as soon as those home prices drop.
금융위기를 만들어냈던 미국의 주택시장은 또 다른 거품으로 세계 경제를 위협할지 관심이 모아지고 있습니다. 다가오는 위기를 예측하는 데 도움이 되는 징후는 무엇인지 알아보겠습니다. 주택시장 거품은 강한 수요와 투기 광풍이 부동산 가격을 붕괴 지점까지 끌어올릴 때 발생합니다.
It's hard to look at any one data indicator to know whether we're in a housing bubble or not. The signs that I would look for are actually more intangible, kind of a mindset that people start to adopt. If people go into buying a home thinking that they're going to get this instant return.
And you see a lot of speculators in the market bidding up prices. If you see a lot of people or home buyers buying homes with no money down or very little money down, those are some telltale signs. If you see credit too easy, then that can be a telltale sign as well.
거품이 통제되지 않으면 강한 수요를 충족시키기 위해 공급이 계속 증가하고 가격은 합리적인 금액 이상으로 상승할 것입니다. 그러다 갑자기 수요가 감소하게 되면 주택 가격이 급격히 하락하면서 거품이 터지게 됩니다.
Housing bubbles eventually pop because people start to realize that what's going on isn't sustainable. As soon as people, see their neighbor selling their home, and maybe their neighbor accepts a little bit less than what homes were worth when they bought, then they may start to get nervous and sell as well, and then it becomes like a cascade. Bubbles tend to burst pretty quickly, so that's why, one day you might have your home go down in value like 20% because the bubble burst.
하지만 때때로 시장은 국가적 차원의 위기를 가져올 더 극단적인 사건이 터지고서야 거품을 인식합니다.
Catastrophic economic event. That's it. You need a catastrophic economic event to make a housing bubble pop. You can definitely have a pullback in the heat in the housing market, but to really have that market crash, there needs to be that event.
1837년부터 역사적으로 수많은 주택 거품이 있었습니다. 하지만 평균 13년마다 발생하는 다른 자산의 불황 사이클과 비교하면 빈도가 훨씬 적었습니다. 그러나 국제통화기금은 주택 붕괴가 일반적으로 거의 2배 이상 지속되고 생산량 손실도 거의 2배에 달해 경제에 훨씬 더 해로운 영향을 미친다는 것을 발견했습니다. 2008년 금융위기는 부동산 거품이 어떻게 잠재적으로 경제 붕괴를 야기할 수 있는지를 보여주는 대표적인 예입니다.
A lot of people got a firsthand experience in what it's like to see your home go down in value. Some people end up losing their homes if they weren't able to continue making their mortgage payments, and then they couldn't sell at a higher value than what they bought it for, so they would end up having to take the loss themselves or end up in foreclosure. So all of that can be very damaging to people, and I think it's very understandable that people are concerned about that happening again.
Demand off the charts, prices rising at the fastest pace in 15 years. But is the market too hot? Is it overheating? A bubble, as they say.
그렇다면 최근 부동산 붐은 주택 거품의 신호일까요? 대부분의 전문가에 따르면 시장은 거품이 아니라 호황에 가깝도록 형성되고 있습니다.
I don't expect that we're going to see a house price crash. I don't think we're in a bubble.
We say bubble because we can't believe how much prices have gone up. But really, a bubble tends to be something that's inflated that could burst at any minute and change. And that's not really the case here.
투기가 확실한 요인이긴 하지만 최근 수요의 주요 원인은 낮은 모기지 이자율입니다. 2020년 3월 팬데믹이 시작될 때 30년 고정 모기지 이자율은 3.45%로 설정되었습니다. 2021년 7월에는 2.87%로 떨어졌습니다.
We've got 30-year fixed-rate mortgage rates for much of the last several months below 3%. That's a phenomenal rate. It's rock bottom. It's a record low. I don't see them going any lower. But that is one of the reasons why that has led to this pickup in demand to buy homes and has added the fuel necessary to push home prices up.
공급면에도 문제가 있습니다. 전국 부동산 중개인 협회에 따르면 미국은 지난 20년 동안 최소 550만 채의 주택 공급이 부족했습니다. 이는 과잉 건축이 문제였던 2008년 이전의 주택 거품 상황과 현재의 상황이 다름을 보여줍니다. 또한 부동산 침체를 야기할 수 있는 대출 거품의 징후도 나타나지 않고 있습니다. 과거에는 변동금리 모기지가 많았지만 현재 대부분의 새 모기지는 고정금리이기 때문입니다.
Subprime loans are those loans made to borrowers or to applicants who have very, very low credit scores. Those are gone from the marketplace. What's also gone are the liar loans. Just about all of the mortgages today are fully documented, documenting income, documenting employment, documenting financial assets so that both the borrower and the lender have some assurance that the borrower has the financial capability to manage that mortgage loan over time.
미국은 현재 주택 거품으로부터 안전할 수도 있지만 그렇다고 해서 또 다른 붕괴가 다시는 일어나지 않을 것이라는 이야기는 아닙니다. 위험을 알 수 있는 특정 지표들을 주시해야 합니다.
What would be unusual, where you should fear about home prices really starting to plummet, is if you look around and you see all this new construction in your neighborhood, and yet home prices aren't moderating at all, despite there being all this added inventory. If you see a whole lot of flips, a lot of investors coming in, doing modest improvements to the home and then getting a whole lot more than they put in when they end up selling, that would be a sign that the housing market is starting to look a little bit unhealthy.
주택시장 붕괴에 대한 걱정이 생기고 있긴 하지만 전문가들은 2008년 금융위기 때와 같은 부동산 폭락은 일어나지 않을 것이라고 말하고 있습니다.
The market today is not in danger of a housing bubble bursting because everyone out there who owns a home has a mortgage that was underwritten responsibly.
Some of those changes were due to the Dodd-Frank Act, which also then created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And through some of the regulations that have been promulgated, that has really assured that mortgages are underwritten in a prudent fashion and provide for mortgages that can lead to sustainable home ownership for the home buyer over time.
이러한 의견에도 불구하고 여전히 불안한 현재 주택 소유자와 구매 예정자들에게 전문가들이 보내는 당부가 있습니다.
If you're a home buyer today and you're concerned that prices are overheating and you're buying at the top of the market, the most important thing you should do is not overpay for your house.
If you feel the price is higher than what you're comfortable with, higher than what you think the true economic value of the home is, then step back from it. you don't need to buy now.
The mindset that I would encourage homeowners to have is a very long-term mindset. Like, it doesn't really matter if home values go down for a couple of years if you're going to hold and not sell for a decade. So I would just, keep your eye on the long-term goals. Make sure that you have enough savings that you could keep paying your mortgage payment, even if you lost a job, even if you lost some income, so you can ride out any temporary dip in the housing market.